Problems 4 and 5 deal with this information. The amount of money a performer earns is directly proportional to the number of people attending the performance. The performer earns $120 at a performance in which 8 people attended. Well, if two values are directly proportional, then basically there's going to be another number that if you multiply it by 1, you get the other. That's what it means to be directly proportional. So if a person earns $120, if there's 8 people, I can basically set up this equation, 8x equals 120, and if I divide both sides by 8, that tells me that this performer makes $15 per person that attends, because the 8 represents the number of people, and then the 120 represents money. So this is $15 per person who attends. So number 4, how much money will the performer earn when 20 people attend the performance? All I would do is take $20 or 20 people and multiply it by the $15 per person. So 20 times 15 says this person earns $300. So this is just a definition of what it means to be directly proportional. But here's the key to the question. The performer earns $15 per person who attends. Problem number 5, the performer uses 43% of the money earned to pay the costs. The rest of the money earned is profit. So they spend 43% of the money to pay costs, and the rest, which is 57%, is profit. What profit does the performer make when 8 people attend? Well, it tells you in the story, when 8 people attend, the performer earns $120. Well, 57% of the $120 is profit. The other 43 go to costs. So what does that mean? If you do 57%, 0.57, of means times $120, that's how much the performer earns in profit. In this case, the profit is $68.40, or answer choice C. Number 9, a worker uses a forklift to move boxes that weigh either 40 pounds or 65 pounds. Here they tell you that X is the number of 40-pound boxes and Y is the number of 65-pound boxes. The forklift can carry either 45 boxes or a weight of 2,400 pounds. Which of the following represents this relationship? Well, if I take the number of 40-pound boxes, which is X, and if I add that to the number of 65-pound boxes, which is Y, this forklift can carry up to 45 boxes. So I'm not going to write equal to 45. It can carry up to 45. So it can carry less than or equal to 45. It can carry up to this 45. Now, the weight is 2,400 pounds. It can carry up to 2,400 pounds. While X is the number of 40-pound boxes. So the weight of those boxes is 40X. And Y is the number of 65-pound boxes. So if I take the number of the 65-pound boxes and multiply it by 65, that's its weight. That weight has to be less than or equal to 2,400. So here our answer is answer choice A. For problem number 28, if the system of inequalities, and you see here they give you 2 different inequalities, if the system of inequalities is graphed in the xy plane above, which of the following quadrant contains no solutions? And they remind you that the quadrants start in the upper right-hand corner with quadrant 1, and then go around counterclockwise quadrants 2, 3, and 4. Now this is one of the few questions on the SATs that, by having a graphing calculator, can make your life a little bit easier. This is how you're going to graph inequalities on this type of calculator. Please try to follow along with me. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to press the Y equals button in the upper left-hand corner. When you press Y equals, your calculator will give you the 10 different places in which you can enter in equations. What you're going to do, just simply type in these two inequalities as equations. Type in y1 as 2x plus 1, y2 as 1/2 x minus 1. The x button is this x, t, theta, n button that's located to the right of the alpha button. So each time you need x, you'll simply press that button. So you'll press the regular button 2, then x, then your plus button, and then 1, and then same difference for the second inequality, 1/2 x minus 1. I'll show you how you get your inequality signs in a minute. So now your calculator should look like this. What you're now going to do is move the cursor all the way to the left of y1. You kind of want to highlight this spot right there. Now when you do that, what's going to happen is this. Your calculator is going to give you the option of changing the type of line. For the older versions of the calculator, this color option will not be there. But you'll be able to change the type of line that you want to draw. Now this inequality and this inequality are both greater than or equal to, so you want to choose this particular shape, which basically assumes your line is here, and you're going to be shading above it for greater than or equal to. So what you want to do is, while the cursor is to the left of y1, and then eventually to y2, change the type of line to this upper triangle. And then on the newer versions of the calculator, you press OK. The goal is to have your calculator looking like this, where the y1 and the y2 are shaded above the black line. If you look at y3 through y8, they all have these solid lines. What you want to do is you want to have the calculator shade above it, so that's why you want to change y1 and y2 to look like this. Now the way we're going to graph is we're now going to press the zoom button. And when you press the zoom button, what you want to do is press the number 6 for Z standard. That's the standard view of graphing. Standard view graphs basically like this, where the 4 quadrants are shown in a standard manner. So you either press zoom and then the number 6, or you can press zoom and then scroll down to when your cursor is next to 6 and then press enter. But when you do that, your calculator should look like this. It will begin graphing. The newer versions of the calculator will be in color. The older versions will use just different angles of shading. And the solution area is the area that's shaded in for both lines. So your solution area is going to be this area way up here that's shaded in purple, because I chose to use the red and the blue colors. This particular question says, in which quadrant are there no solutions? And if you notice, the solution area stays out of this quadrant down here, which happens to be quadrant 4. So the answer is answer choice C. That's a way of answering this question by using your graphing calculator. What you could have also done was just simply choose points in each quadrant and test to see if they make both inequalities true. For example, if I choose a point in quadrant 4, let's say I choose the point 2, comma, -4. Now I'm looking for no solution. If I take both of these inequalities, y is bigger than or equal to 2x plus 1, and I take y is greater than or equal to 1/2 x minus 1. Remember, my point is in the fourth quadrant, 2 comma -4, so my x is 2, my y is -4. If I plug in those values, I'm looking for no solution. I'm looking for two false statements. -4 is bigger than or equal, because that's my y, -4 is bigger than or equal to 2 times x, 2 times 2, which is 4, plus 1 or 5. This is not true. -4 is not bigger than or equal to 5. And here I have y, -4, bigger than or equal to 1/2 times 2. 1/2 times 2 is 1. Take away 1. And 1 minus 1 is 0. -4 is not bigger than or equal to 0. So that's why quadrant 4, there is no solution in that quadrant, either graphically or algebraically. I wanted to show you the graphing feature of the calculator for when it appears on future SAT questions. Problem 11, in the equations above, B and C represent the price per pound in dollars of beef and chicken respectively. So here is my beef equation, here is my chicken equation. It represents the price of each of these types X weeks after July 1st during last summer. So X is the number of weeks after July 1st. So I guess if they wanted the price of these things 4 weeks after July 1st, maybe late July, early August, they would plug in X is equal to 4. Now this one says, what was the price per pound of beef when it was equal to the price per pound of chicken? So I basically want the beef and the chicken prices to be the same. So the beef equation, 2.35 plus 0.25x, that has to be equal to the price of chicken, the 1.75 plus 0.40x. So I'm going to solve this equation for x first. So here I'm going to subtract the 0.25x to bring it over to one side of the equation. So I have 2.35 equals 1.75 plus 0.15x. Then I'm going to subtract 1.75 on both sides. So that gives me the 0.15x on the right, and on the left, 0.6. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide both sides by that 0.15. So in this case here, x is going to be equal to 4. So the price of these two things was the same 4 weeks after July 1st. And that's not what the question was saying. It doesn't say how many weeks were the prices equal. The question is saying, what was the price per pound of beef when it was equal to the price per chicken? Well, I know that X is 4, so that means 4 weeks after July 1st, these two things were the same. So I want to know what was the price per pound of beef. So I'm going to go the beef equation, 2.35 plus 0.25x, and I'm going to plug in 4. So I have 2.35 plus 0.25 times 4. And if I do that on my calculator, I get $3.35. Or answer choice D. Kind of strange when they asked you the price per pound of beef when it was equal to the price per pound of chicken. They could have just very easily said, what is the price per pound of chicken? And you would have plugged into the chicken equation and gotten the same $3.35. Problem number 18. According to the system of equations above, what is the value of x? Well, solving a system of equations is a very common theme on the SATs. And what I want to do is I want to find the value of x. So I want to make the y's cancel or disappear. The bottom equation has a positive 2y. So in order to make that cancel, I would need the top equation to have a negative 2y, so that when I added those together, they would cancel. Well, I don't have a negative 2y up top, I just have a positive y. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute negative 2 to the top equation. Why would I do that? Because then negative 2 times y would give me negative 2y, and then that would cancel with the positive 2y for the second equation. So I'm going to distribute negative 2 to everything in the top equation. So negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 2 times y is the negative 2y, that's what I wanted. And then negative 2 times negative 9 is 18. The second equation is going to stay as is for now. X plus 2y equals negative 25. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the equations together to make the y's cancel. So here, the y's cancel, negative 2y and positive 2y. I have negative 2x plus 1x, so that's negative 1x. I have 18 plus negative 25, so that's negative 7. And since I have negative 1 equals negative 7, I'm going to divide both sides by negative 1, so that x is going to be equal to positive 7. And this is one of those grid questions. So you would just simply grid in 7. Number 2, a quality control manager at a factory selects 7 light bulbs at random for inspection out of every 400 light bulbs produced. At this rate, how many light bulbs would be inspected if the factory produces 20,000 light bulbs? What we're going to do here is we're going to set up a proportion. If there's 400 light bulbs, 7 are inspected. That's going to be equal to if there's 20,000 light bulbs, how many would be inspected? So we're going to set up a proportion, and the way you solve proportions is you cross multiply. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply 400 times x to get 400x, and then we're going to multiply 7 times 20,000 to get 140,000. And then to solve for x, we're going to divide both sides by 400. So that's going to give me 140,000 divided by 400, or 350. Answer choice B.